You are about to outgrow nearly everyone that you know. And Spirit wanted to deliver some uncomfortable truth as a way of preparing you for the quantum leap that you're about to make. Because most people assume that losing friends and drifting away from old circles or becoming less social is a sign that something is wrong. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes isolation isn't dysfunction, but rather it is evolution. It is like when we look at the oracle cards, you can see that sometimes they encourage isolation. They encourage you to be alone, social distancing, because in doing so, not only do you preserve your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, you preserve your energy too. We've been conditioned to believe that maturity is about maintaining connections, but actually, growth is often asking you to prune and to remove things, situations, and even sometimes places. Not everyone is supposed to make it out to the other side, to the new chapter with you. Not every relationship is scalable, right? Not every circle can be upgraded. When you start changing, you outgrow everybody who is around you. And this is because it is time to understand this on a deeper level. It is not because you are proud, it is none of that. It is because you finally stop pretending to be who you are not, to appease the people who are always willing to be playing small. Most of us spent years learning how to be small enough to belong, right? Small enough to avoid triggering jealousy, small enough to avoid conflict, small enough just to keep the peace, to be relatable. But over time, what I'm hearing is that you need to know that this actually costs you your upgrades, your blessings, your abundance that you've been playing for, because energetically you stay at this level instead of just going and up leveling your energies. Your guides and your ancestors are saying the rooms that rewarded you for shrinking will not celebrate you when you start working. I repeat that for the ones in the back. The rooms that rewarded you for shrinking your light will not celebrate you when you are winning. The moment you outgrow the role that made you useful and break the energetic contracts, the karmic contracts, that's when people start saying things like, oh, you've changed. You are distant, you're cold, but you're meant to change. Life is not meant to be the same. You understand that you go through phases of being the caterpillar and then into the cocoon, isolated, quiet, growing, becoming more beautiful, vibrant, stepping in to the new beautiful version as the butterfly that you're meant to be. And sometimes when people say things like you've changed, these reactions are not just observations, they're actually confessions about what they are seeing, what they are feeling, and where they are energetically. What they mean is you no longer perform the version of you that we liked. You no longer keep quiet when you know you should be speaking up. You are different, you've changed, you're distant because you are no longer just available when we call. Absence is one of those things that truly give you an honest audit of where you are in life and where you're running. When you stop pouring into relationships and you learn that there is something mutual in a relationship, especially let's say with friendships, in a mutual friends group, you make a telephone call, the other person picks up, you have a conversation. Sometimes the other person calls you, you have a conversation. But when you audit your life and your friendships and your relationships, are you the one who's always making those telephone calls, who's always checking on people? So sometimes just making a decision that you are not going to be the person who's always going to be calling, who's always going to be checking up on other people, you now start to see that relationships that you were trying to maintain would naturally fall away because people don't ride with you like that. Finally, our tarot cards have fallen, and you're receiving two cards about making a decision and making a choice. Which one do you choose? Do you stay in the mode of waiting for other people to catch up? Or do you make a choice about going forward? You have the energies of the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is about choosing your passion. So, Spirit wants you to know that when your energies are split, this is when you feel that life is stuck and nothing is shifting. But when your energies are aligned and you know where you are going and which direction you're choosing, this is when things shift and you start seeing that upgrade, that leveling up that I was talking about, and you become the Queen of Wands. So you have two cards that are the same suit. The number two is saying make a choice, make a decision. Which one is it? Are we going forward or are we staying waiting for other people to catch up? You can see that on this card, you've got the grapes that are there. Back in Roman times, or at least in the past, grapes always represented wealth. It was the wealthy people who had the resources to be able to afford grapes, right? So, literally, Divine is saying that you are going to have to make a decision about whether you remain waiting for people to catch up or whether you finally decide to enter into the portal where you have so much abundance, so much resources that you finally level up to become the Queen of Wands, where your passion, your fire, your drive is pushing you forward and you are nurturing you rather than relationships that just drain you. So I really like those two cards that have come up for you because Divine is saying that it is time to be honest as you're doing that audit so that you can clearly see which relationships that have just been draining and taken from you. Most relationships function because one person is the one who's doing all the heavy emotional lifting, all the social labor, and the other person is not really doing anything. Take that labor away, take the scaffolding, and you watch a lot of relationships crumble and fall away because you were the one who was the scaffolding. You were the glue that was keeping that friend group together. You were the glue that was keeping that relationship together. You were the glue that was keeping the family together. And when you remove yourself, you're going to see that a lot is going to start falling away. And this is because the fall away was meant to happen a long time ago. It's like the Tower card. The Tower card happens because endings were meant to end a long, long time ago. But for whatever reasons, as human, we hold on and hope for change that doesn't come. And finally, when the Tower card comes and collapses everything, we're actually thankful that, hey, you know what, that situation actually wasn't going anywhere. So, equally for you, there's a feeling that is here where you are the one who is holding everything together. And when you remove your energy, when you remove yourself, you start to see that actually there was nothing holding that situation at all. There's too many cards that have fallen out. So, why is outgrowing people and situations? Why does it hurt when it's a natural thing to do? First of all, let's look to see the tarot card that came up. And it's funny because when the cards fell out, the other card at the top was the emperor being the husband of the empress. So you are receiving another feminine type of energy. And this time, being that it is a major arcana card, the divine is saying that you are going to start seeing yourself here in gratitude, in prayer, focusing on where you're going, and a lot of things are going to start coming into fruition. A lot of things are going to start blossoming in your life. You're going to start giving birth to many opportunities, and good things are going to start happening for you because now your energy is closed and it is focusing on what you are wanting to create rather than what you've lost or rather than on other people. So, as you saw that with the Queen of Wands, you are exiting a lot of drama, a lot of fiery situations. And as you do that, you're making choices about how your future is going to unfold. And as your future starts unfolding in beautiful ways, stepping into the energies of the Empress, there's a sense of being thankful, there's a sense of being grateful, having received this message that has warned you that it is time to focus on yourself and where you're wanting to go, rather than being the scaffolding that is holding together structures that should have fallen away a long time ago. So there's a sense of perhaps grieving the losses that are there. You grieve even when nobody wronged you, right? Because what I feel is like there's nothing dramatic that is happening. It is just an energetic shift that is there. And I feel that sometimes we don't talk enough about relationships and situations that fall away, not because anything is particularly wrong, rather than just it doesn't belong in your next chapter, in your next existence. So there's a grief that is there that could be unexplained, and your guides and your ancestors are just wanting to bring this to your attention. That it is okay to grieve, even though nobody wronged you, there was no dramatic situations. You grieve even though relationships didn't betray you, they just reached a natural end. They went as far as they needed to go, and that was that. And there's still a grief that is there. You grieve because you're shedding a version of you that once felt like home, but now it just feels like betrayal, especially the more you stay there, because you know that there is a better version of you waiting to come home. So your guides and your ancestors are saying to you, we just want to bring this to your attention that it is okay to grieve, even though there was actually no loss that was involved. It is okay to grieve. You are shedding an identity, not just people, not just situations. You are shedding an identity of you that is there. And psychology calls this identity loss an identity dissonance, right? There is just like a friction. Things just don't make sense. You're just like, I don't understand what is going on. But that's because there's a dissonance that is there. There is just a friction that is there. And because there is nothing that is particularly happened, you almost feel like you don't have permission to grieve for that situation because you chose it to fall away. You chose not to keep holding relationships, not to keep on being the one that makes the first contact, not being the one who makes sure that the friendship stays together, not being a glue in our relationships or situation. The discomfort that arrives is when the old self is dying and the new self hasn't yet integrated. So it's like you're almost at a crossroad, you're almost at this point here where the new version of you hasn't arrived yet. So you feel like this split. You feel like your energy is being pulled to the past version of you and to the new version of you, and it really feels uncomfortable. So there's a sense of the divine just saying, be ready for the environmental shift that is going to happen so that you are able to adjust because you have the awareness that you needed already. And this is why this transmission was important for you to listen, because there's going to be a sense of loneliness that is going to be there. There's going to be a sense of feeling perhaps even betrayed when old rooms that you don't fit into anymore don't really applaud you like they used to. And the new rooms haven't yet found you. And you're just like in this big void that is there. Just be okay with being in the void. Just be okay with the new rebirth that is on the card. Because the Empress, in this card, you can't see it very well, but the Empress is all about rebirths. The Empress is all about bringing forth new beginnings. She's the portal where life comes through her. And it's like what I was saying about the caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, there is this integration time. And that integration time is the time where it is really painful. It is time where you feel confused. And it is time where you can be tempted to go back to your old self because it feels comfortable. Do not chase comfort, but rather welcome the discomfort that is there. Because through the discomfort, this is when the new you, who is full of abundance, who has everything that you've prayed for and more, exists. Because the Empress is all about abundance. She's connected to the energy of Virgo. She's connected to the autumn season where we are harvesting, right? Where there is plenty. So this is the energy that is there. Before you walk into the plentiful, it is time for you to just feel confused and not know which way and what way the situation is unfolding. And this is why the divine wanted to bring this to your attention. So not only you are prepared, but you're actually expecting the loneliness. You're actually expecting the distance. You're actually expecting the grief that is going to be waiting for you. And you can navigate through that with a lot of ease. And here's the part that cracks most people and finds them going back, right? It almost feels like a software misalignment. People who met the old version of you cannot always mirror the new version of you. Not because they're toxic. Sometimes we always want to say, this person is toxic, this situation, whatever it is. But in your situation, it is not necessarily that because anyone is toxic, because anyone did anything. It is not because they're jealous. It is not because of anything in particular. It is just an energetic mismatch that is there. So it is like when your software is upgrading, sometimes you just have to wait and watch the little bar progress and progress and progress. And sometimes you really want to use your phone as the new software is being uploaded, but you know that you have to wait for the update to complete before you can start using your phone. Not because your phone is betraying you, but it is a necessary step that is needed. Allow time, the time that it needs. Don't be too impatient. So what I'm seeing is like literally there is like an operating system evolution upgrade that is on the cards. And the old past, your old friends, family situations will not function in the new upgrade that you are currently going through. Because like there'll be a mismatch in the software. And when you try to connect, there's a disconnect that is happening. There's no villains required. There's no villains in this story at all. And this is why returning to the old spaces feels like it's tempting because you're still running on the old code, because the new code is still being updated, the hardware. And so sometimes you can glitch, right? You can stall. And the glitch that happens is that, let's say, a relationship dissolves. And as you're in the waiting room, as you're in the void, as you're in that space of nothingness, maybe you drink and you get tempted to call your ex and, hey, let's go back together. Don't get tempted like that. Because the more you go back, the more you're actually wasting your time. The more you go back, the more you're actually causing yourself unnecessarily pain. So Divine is saying that they want you to understand that relationships don't always end. Sometimes they simply reach the limit. Sometimes the upgrade, they cannot function in the new upgrade. A dynamic built on convenience, familiarity, validation, performance, emotional labor, even cannot survive once you start growing out of those currencies, once you start growing out of those spaces. And if the relationship was built on who you were, it won't survive who you're becoming. If the relationship was built on you overcompensating, over giving, over sharing, being available too much, allowing too much access to other people, this is not gonna survive who you are becoming. And the ones that last long term, those people are the real ones. Those people are the ones who resonate with where you are going. So Spirit wants to say to you that if you found this reading so far being motivational, giving you the reassurance that it needed, comment a blue butterfly in the emoji in the comment section below. When you hit that precise phase, when you stop auditioning for belonging, when you stop chasing, when you stop trying to be compatible with people who don't have the bandwidth for your truth, this phase looks like fewer people, fewer connections. It looks like less apologizing, less explaining. It just feels right. And that's when you know you have finally arrived. There's a sense of you having higher standards, tight boundaries, quieter exits, not staying in rooms where you don't belong for longer than you need to. It looks like being misunderstood for a while, but the upgrade that is here, the loneliness that is here, this is before you're celebrated. This is before you are seen, because you are arriving. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming unavailable to low quality energy. You're not becoming arrogant, as some people might say, but you're becoming aligned with the destination of where you're wanting to go. You're not becoming antisocial, but you're becoming selective social. And you are someone who's not going to be performing just to stay relevant, just to stay in friend groups. This isn't about being superior, but rather no, it is about having the humility to stay in your own lane and to stop relationships, forcing relationships that are no longer aligned energetically with who you are becoming and who you are. But don't worry, eventually the blessings will start to come in. You start meeting people who don't ask you to dilute yourself to make the relationship function. And when that happens, that is when you realize how much energy you were bleeding, how much energy you were spending to belong in the wrong places. And at that point, you don't grieve who you left. This is when the acceptance phase kicks in. You start questioning, why did I stay for so long? You start even kicking yourself for allowing people to have so much access to you for way too long, and for you for holding relationships together, for being the scaffolding and just wasting so much energy. So finally, as we're closing this reading, say yes, because you are about to outgrow every single person that you know. Not because you're better, but because you're accepting that evolution has a price. And the old you already has paid that price. So it is time for you to receive the upgrade that has already been paid for, and for you to start functioning in that upgrade. If you feel this with your chest, with your heart, with your soul, then comment in the comment section below whatever it is that feels right to you. You're certainly going through some fire, right, to become this version of you. If you want, just start social distancing yourself spiritually now. So when that lonely chapter arrives, it will already find you ready and well prepared. So this is the message that I have for you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Go and watch the reading that I did yesterday. There's definitely some powerful words of nuggets. And just go and look at the playlist and see what else is available, because there's a lot of powerful videos that I've been filming. And yeah, I'm going to see you very soon. It's a goodbye.